Does the thought of influencing and persuading other people make you nervous, uncomfortable, or downright anxious? If you answered yes to any one of these questions, then sit down and stay tuned, because in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 simple shifts that you can make that will make other people more persuadable so you don't have to worry about it. Hey guys, my name is Paul Macetta, and I am a researcher in the field of human communication. So if you like learning about things like influence, persuasion, and human communication, then go ahead and consider subscribing. And guys, in the description of this video, I'm going to hook you up with a book. It is a free copy of the sample edition of my book, The Street Persuasion Playbook. And in it, I'll share with you 10 underground tactics for persuading others. So let's jump right into today's video. So the first high-level concept that I want to share with you is to master your state before you communicate with other people, or the minute you feel like you're about to enter into a situation where you need to influence or persuade someone, you want to change your emotional state so that it supports you. So here's what I mean by that. In certain cases, you're going to know in advance that you have to influence or persuade someone. So maybe you're scheduled to give a talk, maybe you're scheduled to meet with a client, and so you know that when that time comes, you're going to have to put on your influence and persuasion hat and do what you need to do. But there are also times where you might not be prepared. So you might just find yourself in a situation where you need to convince somebody to think and behave in a specific way. In either case, you want to change your emotional state before that interaction and shift from wherever you are to a state of confidence and non-attachment. So what I mean by non-attachment is the more attached you appear to the outcome of the situation, the more resistant the audience is likely to be. You see, I explain to people all the time that really when it comes to influence and persuasion, what we're talking about is change. What we're trying to do is change the mind of the listener. And so oftentimes the reason why the mind of the listener needs to be changed is because they are not seeing the benefit in making the decision that you are asking them to make. And oftentimes they will feel that them saying yes to you means that they are losing something in some capacity. It could be money, time, energy, resources, and so that's why they become resistant. Well, the more attached and desperate you appear to the outcome of this situation, the more they begin to think you have an ulterior motive. And when they sense that you have an ulterior motive, their aversion to loss antenna is going to go up. In other words, they're going to start freaking out and thinking, why is this person so attached or so desperate to get me to do this thing? And if I do it and if I say yes to it, what do I stand to lose in terms of time, money, energy, and resources? And so you need to create a sense of detachment from the outcome. And the way that you do that is by building confidence. You need to change your state of mind, and you need to change your physicality. You need to change your physiology. You need to change your body language. Sometimes this could mean jumping up and down for a few seconds. It could mean shadow boxing. It could mean stretching. It could be standing up in like a superhero pose, pushing your shoulders back and your chin up. But you want to change your physiology from wherever you are now to super confident, but with that sense of detachment from the outcome. In other words, you want to play this balancing act where you're showing the person that you care about the outcome in terms of the benefit that they are going to experience, but not so much that like your world would end if you didn't get the outcome that you want. So you don't want to ever reek of desperation, right? There's a reason why people are repelled by desperate people. When you appear desperate, it makes the other person say to themselves, Why is this person so desperate to get me to do this thing? Is there an ulterior motive? Is there something I'm not seeing that I'm going to lose that's going to impact me negatively if I say yes to this person? So you immediately want to squash that sense of attachment before you enter a situation where you need to influence or persuade someone else. The second thing that you need to be thinking about is, how can I create genuine rapport with this person? So I always say, when it comes to influence, persuasion, human communication, rapport is like money in the bank. The more rapport you have with someone, the more you can get away with, so to speak, when it comes to influencing and persuading them. So think about it. If you were having a debate, let's say, with a really close friend that you've known for 30 years, and like you wanted to make a point to that person, there are a lot of things that you would say to that person that you probably would not say to somebody that you just met 5 minutes ago, because that person understands you, there's context, there's a relationship. You know that in most cases they're going to know what you mean when you say what you say, and they're probably not going to misinterpret it and be offended by it. Well, the reason why that is because you just have more rapport with that person. So the more rapport you have with someone, the more influential money you have in the bank when it comes to communicating with them. So think about it. The longer you know somebody, the longer and the stronger a relationship you have with someone, the more room you have to play with in terms of what you can say or do when it comes to communicating with them. And your ability to say and do more is ultimately what's going to get them to say yes. Well, the challenge is, when you meet somebody new, you don't have rapport with them. So you need to be thinking about, how can I create rapport as fast as possible? Now, here's where most people go wrong with this. Most people create fake rapport. So really what they'll try to do is kiss up to the other person to create some sort of a connection, but people can sense that. So what you want to do instead is find some commonality that maybe you can talk about. So if you're in the other person's office and you notice that they have kids, and those kids maybe are the same age as your kids, that's a commonality that you can talk about. If you notice that they have sports memorabilia surrounding them, and it happens to be about, a similar team that you like, well, then that's a commonality that you can talk about. If it's a different team, you don't want to talk about the team, but maybe you can find commonality in the fact that you both like the sport. The point is, you want to observe this person, you want to observe the environment, you want to observe their body language, you want to observe their clothing, their dress code, and how they carry themselves to get a sense of who they are, so that you can create some sort of rapport with them based on commonality. This is how you create true rapport with somebody, instead of fake rapport that ultimately winds up turning them off. And then the last thing that you want to be conscious of is reward and fear. So at the heart of every decision that a person makes, there's ultimately two things that are driving them: the desire to experience pleasure, or the desire to avoid pain. And so ultimately what this boils down to is reward and fear. And so you need to be thinking about, what does this person have to gain by saying yes to what I'm asking them to do? But arguably even more important is, what do they stand to lose if they say no to what I'm presenting to them? So why is that important? It's important because, statistically speaking, people will do more to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure. And so you need to be ready to present what they stand to lose if they don't say yes to you. Now, the key and the trick to using this is, you don't want to be fear-mongering and threatening the person, because that's ultimately going to create even more resistance. But you want to elegantly and effectively paint a picture of what they stand to gain and what they could possibly lose if they don't say yes to you. Now, again, these are just three very high-level concepts that you want to be thinking about before you go into every interaction where you may have to influence and persuade someone. So number one, change your mental state and your emotional state from wherever you are to one of confidence, but that is void of attachment. So create a sense of detachment from the interaction and from the overall outcome. Think about how can you create rapport as fast as possible by finding commonality with the other person, and then be aware of what they stand to lose and what they stand to gain if they say yes to you, and have that ready to present to them elegantly and effectively. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, give me a like, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. And if you enjoy this type of content, go ahead and hit that bell notification so you get updated when I release more videos like this, and subscribe to the channel.